Hello and welcome to this Hearts of Iron 4 modding tutorial. Today we're going to teach you how to create decisions and focus trees, as well as how to add custom focus icons. And at the end we will discuss the defines file. To start, we will make a decision for the nation we created in the previous tutorials. Decisions represent actions that can be taken by a country. They are one of the most versatile tools in the modding arsenal due to the range of parameters that can be used. But at their most basic form, they are composed of effect blocks that have either specific conditions, costs, or both attached to them. When creating a decision, we need to create two files. First is the decision category, which is the larger group a set of decisions appear in, and next is the decision file itself. A decision category may have multiple decisions in it, but a decision only belongs to one category. To find the decision files in your vanilla game files, go to your vanilla games root directory, then to common, then decisions. Here, you can find all the vanilla decisions, and under the categories folder, the decision categories that you can reference when modding. Let's make our first decision. Return to your mod's root directory, and under the common folder, create a decisions folder. Then create a categories folder in the decisions folder. Now create a new text file in the categories folder. Now open the text file. Create a block for your decision category with an ID of your choice. In its simplest form, all we need to add is an icon, which is the icon that appears in the top corner of the category in game, and an allow block. The allow block tells the game what nations the decision category is allowed for. This is assessed at game startup. In this case, we will say the decision category is only for the nation we created in the last tutorial. This is done with tag equals, then our country's ID. In this case, MFC. In the decisions folder, make a new text file. Now add a block with the same ID as your decision category. This block is where we will add all decisions that can appear in that decision category. Now we will add our first decision. This decision will only be visible to the player if they have less than 100% stability, will cost 50 political power to take, and will give the player 10 stability. First, we make a decision block with the ID of our decision. Next, we add an icon. This is the icon that appears on the decision itself. Then, we add an available trigger block. This available block will allow the decision to be taken if all the triggers within it are true. In this case, we will check to see if stability is less than 100%. We can do this by typing has_stability less than 1. Stability is calculated based on a percentage of 0 to 1, whereas 1 is 100%. So in this case, less than 1 means less than 100% stability. Now we add a visible trigger block. When the trigger inside is true, then the decision will be visible to the player. In this case, we will say always equals yes. This means it is always visible to the player. Now we will add a cost. The cost is the amount of political power it costs to take the decision. In this case, we will set it to 50. If you want your decision to only happen once, then you can also add a fire only once line to ensure this decision can only be taken once per country. Now we can make our decision do something. There are two ways to do this with decisions. You can either have the decision take multiple days to complete, and while it is progressing towards completion, a modifier is applied, or you can have it trigger an effect on completion. You can also have both at the same time. In this example, we will just have a complete effect, and the decision will not take any time to complete. Now inside the block, write your desired effect. In this example, we will add stability equals 0.1. This will add 10 stability. Now we will talk about how to control when the AI takes our decisions. This is done with an AI will do block. By default, the AI will not take the decision without us telling it to take the decision. The AI will do block works by giving a base chance for the AI to take the decision. This base chance is then modified by various triggers that, when true, can increase or decrease the chance the AI will take that decision. In this example, we will tell the AI to take this decision if they have stability less than 60% and over 155 political power. To do this, inside the AI will do block, start by having a base of 0. Inside the AI will do block, add a modifier block that will tell it to add 1 to the AI will do chance. Now we add our triggers of has stability less than 60 and has political power greater than 155. This means that when the triggers in the modifier are both true, then there will be a chance of 1 for the AI to take this decision. This means the AI will likely take the decision if nothing else requiring political power has a stronger AI desire. We can boost this further by using a factor which will multiply the AI chance. Create another modifier block. This time add factor equals 2. This will multiply the AI chance by 2 when the triggers within the modifier are true. In this case, we will say has political power greater than 300. All modifiers that are true will apply to each other in the order in which they are written. This can be used to increase or decrease the chance the AI will take a decision depending on specific conditions. We now have made our first basic decision. Here is an example of a decision that uses a modifier. In this decision, we are adding 5% more support every week for 22 days or 3 weeks. The key difference between this decision and the previous decision is the use of a modifier block in the decision itself. Anything within this block will be applied as a modifier to the nation while the decision is active. You state how long a decision is active for by adding a days remove line, then the number of days the decision is active for. If you want the decision to be repeatable but have a delay before being available again, you can add a days_re_enable line followed by the number of days until the player can take the decision again. The decision will be invisible to the player until the number of days is reached. Finally, remember to add localization for the decisions and decision categories in the localization file. Decisions are powerful tools that can do many things in-game. For more information on decisions, including more advanced features, please see the Decisions modding page on the Hearts of Iron 4 Wikipedia. We will now make a simple focus tree for our nation. To find the vanilla focus trees, go to the game's vanilla root directory, then Common, then National Focus. By default, every nation has access to the generic focus tree. This is applied by using a weighting system similar to AI will do. If we look at the generic focus tree, we can see that at the top of the focus tree block, under the focus tree ID, we have a country block with a factor of 1, and below it, a default equals yes line. These two together mean that this focus tree will be used as the generic focus tree for all nations. The country block here works in the same way as the AI will do block. In this case, it applies a weighting of 1 to this focus tree to be used by a nation. When making our focus trees, we need to provide a weighting for our nation in the country block that is greater than the value provided here. To make our focus tree, first create a national_focus folder in the common folder. Then in our national focus folder, add a text file for our nation's focus tree. Open it and add a focus tree block. Then a unique ID for our focus tree. Then under it, add a country block. In this country block, we want to add a base of 0, meaning this focus tree will not be used unless any modifiers in this block are true. Now add a modifier block. In it, add 10 to the chance if the country tag is equal to our country's tag of MFC. This will mean that the focus tree will always be visible for our nation in place of the generic focus tree, but will not be visible to any other nation. This is because the weighting of 10 is greater than the generic tree's weighting of 1. If you have the game running with debug mode enabled, the focus tree for every nation will reload itself every time you save a change to the focus tree file. This is a useful way to see your changes in-game. Start the game and select your custom nation. Then open its focus tree. As you see here, now you have an empty focus tree. Return to your editor, and we will add the first focus. Create a focus block. A focus block in its simplest form requires the following: a unique ID for the focus, an icon, X and Y coordinates for where the focus is located on the focus tree, a cost, which is the number of days multiplied by 7 the focus takes to complete. For example, 10 is used for 70-day focuses, 5 is used for 35-day focuses, and finally, a completion reward. The completion reward is what effect will happen upon the completion of the focus. In this simple example, we have made our first focus, which takes 70 days to complete and provides 150 political power when completed. Note that for the X and Y coordinates, the higher the number of the X coordinate, the further to the right it is, and the higher the number of the Y coordinate, the lower down it is. These numbers can be negative. Now we will add 2 more focuses. These focuses will require the first focus to be taken before you can take the others, and then they will also be mutually exclusive with each other. We will start by adding a second focus block and giving it a new focus ID. We will then use a relative position to position it on the focus tree. A relative position uses the ID of another focus as the 0, 0 coordinates for the x and y position of that focus. This makes larger focus trees significantly easier to map out and allows you to easily move around large numbers of focuses. Note that at least one focus in the focus tree must be a focus that does not use a relative position ID. This will be the starting focus that other focuses will use as the first relative position ID. To do this, add relative _ position _ ID equals the ID of our first focus. Then we set the x and y coordinates as they are relative to that focus. In this case, x at -1 will make it slightly to the left of the first focus. Then y to be 1 will bring it down below our first focus. Next, we need to say that the focus has a prerequisite of the first focus. Do this with a prerequisite check. Then add our first focus to it with the line focus equals our focus name. If you add multiple focuses in this block, it will mean that any one of those focuses is required to take the action. If you add a second prerequisite block, it means that both those prerequisites are needed to take that focus. We will add a third focus using the same as above, but this time move it to the right of our first focus by setting the x coordinates to be 1. Now we want to make those focuses mutually exclusive with each other, so that you can only take one of them, not both. To do this, we use a mutually exclusive block. Create the block in the second focus by typing mutually _ exclusive, then inside it, add the focus ID of the third focus. You need to repeat this in the third focus, and this time use the ID of the second focus. If we had a fourth focus these focuses were mutually exclusive with, you would add the same mutually exclusive blocks to the fourth focus's ID. Press save and we can view our focuses in-game. As you can see, we now have the 3 focuses in-game with the effects we want. There are many more options you can give focuses, such as available blocks, which use triggers to unlock the focus if the triggers are met, bypass blocks that will use triggers to skip a focus if the trigger is met, and additional commands such as cancel if invalid that will cancel the focus if the available block trigger is set to false when you have progress on that focus, or available if capitulated, where you can see if the focus is available when your country has capitulated. To add custom focus icons, go to your mod's root folder and open the GFX folder. Then create a interface folder, then a goals folder. Add your focus icon to this folder in either a .dds or .tga file format. You can also add any subfolders you wish to organize your focus icons. The exact size of the focus icon does not matter, but it's recommended that the icon is approximately 100 pixels wide by 88 pixels tall. Now, we need to add a sprite type definitions to our focus icon so that it can be used in-game. Go to your mod's root folder, then the interface folder. We will need to create 2 new files with the GFX extension. These files will be your mod's equivalent files of the goals.gfx and goals_shine.gfx files in vanilla. Do not name these files with the same file names as the vanilla files, otherwise you will break all focus icons by overwriting the vanilla files. Once you have created your equivalent goals GFX file, open it and add a sprite types block, then add a sprite types block for your new focus icon. For the name, start it with GFX_focus_ or GFX_goal_. Then, for the texture file, set it to be the file location of your focus icon. Now, we need to add a goals shine. This is what makes the national focus shine when it is available to be selected. Without this, the icon will break when the focus becomes available to be selected. We recommend copying a sprite type from the vanilla goals_shine.gfx file, and then updating the name, the texture file, and the 2 animation mask file lines to point towards your national focus icon. It is important that the name matches the name you defined for your focus icon with _shine at the end of the name. We can now add this focus icon to the game by going to our focus tree and then adding our focus icon using the name defined in our goals.gfx equivalent file. Finally, we will touch on the defines file. This file is a .lua file that contains game data and values that are used in the game for rules and calculations. Examples of what could be edited in this file are the game's start and end dates, world tension generation from in-game actions, the amount of XP a unit gains from combat, and the base research and construction speeds. The defines file can be found under the common folder then defines. There are a vast number of values in here that could be used to tailor your mod to play the way you want it to play. However, you should not copy this file into your mod file and edit it. Instead, you can make a new LUA file under Common, then Defines. This new file should not start with 00 like the vanilla defines file. Instead, set it to a number higher than 00, for example, 01. Then, in the file, you can define just the value you wish to change. These will then overwrite those specific values in the vanilla files. This is because the game reads the files with 00 at the start first, then overrides those values in those files with any file that has a higher number. In our example, we will change the end date. To do this, add to your defines file nDefines.endgame.end_date. Each value here is separated by full stops and represents a block in the vanilla defines file. In this case, nDefines is the top block, then the endgame block is where the end date is defined. Finally, we have end_date, followed by an equal sign, then in quotation marks we add our new end date. The defines file is a powerful tool for modding. Descriptions for each option can be found in the vanilla defines file, and more information is available on the defines page of the Hearts of Iron 4 Wikipedia. This concludes video number 4 in the Hearts of Iron 4 modding series. Thank you for watching.